everybody, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I'm super excited to be back with another process video for you today. This is for a new series that I am starting up, and it is called Just a Little Sketchy. So it is a fun series where I'm just going to kind of show you my take and some tips and tricks for using some sketches in your scrapbooking. And so you can see the sketch that I am working with today, and if you have been watching my channel for a while, or you know me pretty much at all, you know that I love hexagons. So that's what we're going to play with today. And for this particular sketch, instead of using two photos like this sketch shows, I'm going to use one 4x6, and it is a picture of a box of treats. And so one of my friends and Kit Club members who lives in Australia had sent this big box of Australian treats to my kids and I to kind of try them out and see what we think. And so we, of course, had to take a picture of this amazing box of wonderful treats that we were sent. And so this is just going to be a layout documenting that box of fun. So I decided, because there are so many bright colors in the packaging of all of these fun little pieces of candy and desserts and things, that I was going to pull out some Amy Tangerine. I am mixing a few different collections of hers, and something I love about her collections is that they all kind of have rainbow colors, and they all mix and match really well. So I'm going to use this rainbow striped paper as kind of that bigger pattern paper chunk that runs down the side of the layout. I want to put some black and white behind it, so I'm just looking for a black and white pattern that might look okay behind my photo, just because I want it to stand out a little bit more against that background. The white cardstock border I have around the photo is going to help with that a little bit too, just to make it stand out against that rainbow. And as I'm working on it, I'm deciding that the white space of the white cardstock is just a little too much for me. So instead I'm going to switch to a pattern paper, and this one is also from that Amy Tangerine paper pad, and it just has some little like dashed rainbow marks on it. And it gives just enough color that I don't feel like I'm working with this huge white space that's going to be really overwhelming. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this 6x6 paper pad. It is also from Amy Tangerine, but from a different collection. And I'm going to use that to punch out all of my little hexagons. So I do want to stay kind of true to the sketch. My hexagons are a little bit like bigger in placement, so they end up extending further across the page than they do in that particular sketch. I'm also going to change up the embellishment cluster underneath the photos quite a bit, because I just wanted to use a couple of these little cut apart pieces. So one of them is just like, looks like the back of a postcard, and then the other one has the world on it. And so I'm going to use those as kind of the foundation for where my title on this particular layout is going to sit. So those are going to kind of be a change from that original sketch. As I am laying out all my pieces of pattern paper that I have for my hexagons, I am deciding that I want there to be a little bit more of a like variation or texture between those pattern papers and the pattern paper behind. So there's two different ways that I'm going to achieve that on this particular layout, and these are two things that are super easy to do, but will completely change the way your layout ends up looking in the end. So one of them is I'm going to grab some Catherine Pooler ink, and I'm going to ink the edges of all my pattern paper like little hexagons. And I'm also going to ink the edges of the full background page of the layout. And just adding that ink detail around all of those hexagons as well as around the outside of the page makes a huge difference in how it looks. The other thing that I do to kind of give that additional dimension, and you'll see this better in the close-up pictures at the end, is that I put foam adhesive underneath each one of those hexagon pieces. So instead of just looking like flat decoration on the page, it looks like it almost has like a tile appearance to it. So all of the pieces are 3D, there's all this dimension, and then you have them all kind of nestled in together. So now I'm just going back to my Amy Tangerine ephemera pack, and I'm pulling out a few little flowers, and I have that pink heart. I found that little doily piece that says "Let's Explore," and I thought that was kind of cute to go with these pictures, because we are definitely exploring a different like culture and regions types of treats. I'm going to cut off the bottom of this little journaling tag and put it underneath this label that says "Appreciate Everything." And I thought that was totally appropriate on this layout since this was a phenomenal gift for us to receive in the mail and such a fun surprise. I am going to add that same ink color to that area that I'm creating down at the bottom. So it's going to kind of carry that inking throughout the entire layout. And I try to do that anytime I am inking elements on the page, as I'm trying to make sure that I remember to ink all of the pieces. It doesn't always work out that way, but I do try. And then I'm going to add some ink to the banner as well. I do have a little card that's going to say thank you, and I have that I'm tucking in behind that little orange hexagon, so I haven't gotten to that part just yet, but I am going to get that in there. And then I was playing around trying to decide if I wanted to add some words to my hexagons, and decided that they were not going to make the cut. But these little glittery foam hearts definitely are going to make the cut. And so I'm going to space those throughout the layout. And this is where you can kind of see those words just aren't working for me. I try and try and try, but they just don't make the cut. So I'm just going to go back to kind of adding a few of the hearts scattered throughout the layout. The one on the green hexagon, and then I added one to that cluster at the top, and I will come back and add one to the cluster at the bottom. And then I really liked the look of these little, like these are foam thickers, but they have like that cardstock finish on top. But I love that they are in a smaller size. So when you pick up this pack, you get a ton of pieces. And one of them is that cute little rainbow, and it just tucked in that space by the hexagons so perfectly that I felt like it definitely needed to live there. And there I find that little thank you sticker, and I'm tucking that in by the flower, and it also needs to live there because it's so cute. And then I find another little spot where I can kind of tuck in some rainbow details because I want to carry that throughout the rest of my layout. And I just need to make sure that I have all my pieces adhered, because you know me, I tend to glue at the end and then things end up not going back in the right spot. But you know, it's all part of the creative process, right? And so once I got to this stage of kind of doing the embellishing, the sketch kind of went out the window. And I talk about this a lot on my channel, that I tend to start with a sketch and work out just the foundation of what my layout is going to look like. And then as far as the embellishing goes, I kind of go in my own direction. And that's pretty typical for my creative process. So a lot of times the sketch is just giving me the foundation or giving me some idea of where the major pattern paper pieces are going to go. And then I kind of take the reins as far as what I want the embellishing to look like. That's not always true, but that's often how kind of my process works. I am adding this little title that says Aussie Treats, and these are also using some foam thickers from Amy Tangerine. I am going to go back in, and I believe I do it off screen. I'm going to add some journaling to that little yellow hexagon on the very edge. It already has the lines on it. So I'm just going to add a few little comments there about this fun box of treats that we received. And I'm not going to do a whole ton of other little embellishing. I do grab my Nouveau drops, which, Moira, this is for you. I'm telling you, look at me using them. You should be so proud. I have been trying really hard to get these on my layouts, you guys, because you keep telling me how amazing and awesome they are. And so I'm trying to dig them out of my stash and actually use them. And I have to say, so far, if you're in the market for Nouveau drops, or if you're already in love with Nouveau drops, that the black one is definitely my favorite so far. That one is definitely getting the most use out of all of them. And so that's going to be my final touch. I am going to try really hard to not smear the Nouveau drops, which is something that I tend to do often, and I'm going to call this one done. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing my take on this particular sketch. If you play along with it as well, I would love to see what you come up with as far as an interpretation of this particular sketch goes, or if you choose a totally different color palette than I have. I will be back to see you again very soon with another sketch. Bye, everybody.